On January 10th, 49 BC, Julius Caesar crosses the Rubicon River with his army. But who was Julius Caesar? And why was the crossing of a small river so important? Gaius Julius Caesar was a Roman patrician from one of the city's oldest noble families, yet he was popular with the masses. As governor of Gaul, he had just completed a successful war of expansion in essentially what is modern-day France, but his popularity was rather unpopular with many conservative Roman politicians. Caesar also had a rivalry with one of Rome's most powerful leaders, Pompey the Great. The two men were former allies. In fact, 10 years earlier, in 59 BC, Caesar's 17-year-old daughter Julia had married the then 47-year-old Pompey, helping to cement the alliance. The following year, with the support of Pompey, Caesar was made governor of Gaul and began his war of expansion. Caesar's successes began to overshadow Pompey's own achievements. Complicating their relationship further, Julia died in childbirth, along with the baby. Perhaps surprisingly, rather than siding with the Roman patrician Julius Caesar, the most conservative faction of the Roman Senate threw its support behind Pompey, a man they had viewed years earlier as an unworthy outsider because he came from Picenum, a region in Italy more than 100 miles northeast of Rome. In 50 BC, the Senate ordered Caesar to return to Rome from Gaul. Roman law dictated that he must leave his army behind. Caesar knew he'd be tried by his political enemies and most likely executed, so he crossed the Rubicon, this small river in northern Italy, which served as the divider between Italy and Gaul. By crossing that river with his army, Caesar knew he was defying the Senate. He knew a civil war would result. According to legend, as Caesar crossed the Rubicon, he exclaimed, "The die is now cast." More than a year later, Caesar defeated Pompey and his supporters at the Battle of Pharsalus in Greece. Caesar returned to Rome in triumph. He had first been named Rome's dictator during the Civil War, and was repeatedly reappointed to this position of full authority. During his time in power, Caesar, the benign dictator, forgave many who supported Pompey and instituted various reforms, including debt relief and the Julian calendar, which realigned the months with the seasons and introduced leap years. It became the Western world's standard calendar for more than 1,500 years. But in 44 BC, after being named dictator for life, Caesar was assassinated. Some of the ringleaders of the conservative faction that killed him, like Brutus and Cassius, were the same senators who were forgiven by Caesar for supporting Pompey in the Civil War. Two successive civil wars broke out in the wake of Caesar's death, with his grandnephew and adopted son Octavian eventually emerging victorious and taking the title Augustus. The excavated site of Julius Caesar's assassination, the Curia of Pompey in Rome's Largo di Torre Argentina, was recently opened to the public in 2023. When Mrs. Lewis and I visited Rome in 2024, we stayed in an Airbnb that overlooks this impressive site. We also made sure to eat gelato every day, sometimes twice a day. Here are other events that happened today in history. In 1920, the post-World War I peacekeeping organization, the League of Nations, formally comes into being. In 1923, U.S. President Harding orders post-World War I occupation troops in Germany to return home. In 1982, 49ers tight end Dwight Clark makes the catch to win the NFC Championship game. In 1999, The Sopranos, widely considered one of the best shows in television history, debuts on HBO. In 2000, in a massive media merger, America Online announces a deal to acquire Time Warner. In 2006, the High School Musical soundtrack is released, going on to become the year's #1 album. In 2008, billed as the world's cheapest car at $2,500. Indian automaker Tata Motors introduces the Nano. And now, it's time for our Today in History quiz. What is the term for the Jews of the Iberian Peninsula? Ashkenazi, Sephardi, Mizrahi, or Italki? Liked learning about Julius Caesar crossing the Rubicon? Then you'll enjoy this one about his assassination 5 years later. Tap the screen to keep the story going on Today in History.